So this is what I originally thought the standings were going to look like. These are my original predictions, which, Florida, Colorado, not too bad of choices, but some other ones were kind of questionable. Actually, Edmonton being outside the playoffs, it didn't look like that was too far off at a certain point in this season. They were playing pretty badly at one point. Now they're in second in the Pacific, which is quite something. So yeah, looking at the playoff picture now, I see like different things that I'm like, ooh, oh, some things I'm happy about though. Like Vegas being, I had them President's Trophy winning, and they're out of the playoffs. I think that's awesome, and so I'm fine being wrong with that. I feel kind of bad for some of the Vegas players. I feel kind of bad for some of the fans, but oh boy, seeing Marc-Andre Fleury inside the playoffs while Vegas is out of the playoffs after the way they traded him, oh boy, that is awesome to see. It really is. Obviously, as a Canucks fan, I'm pretty sad that they didn't quite make it, but I had the Kings in the playoffs. That was a good choice. And of course, other good and bad choices. I had Chicago in the playoffs. Ooh. But I'm happy. I'm happy they didn't make it, and I'm happy that the Wild made it. Even though I didn't have much faith in the Wild, I was kind of thinking, if they had to, kind of rely on Kaprizov to be their main guy, I wasn't sure if they were gonna be as good, but they haven't really needed to as much, and he's been much more of a star than he even was last year. And so, because I wasn't sure, I knew he'd be good. I didn't know if he would be as good as last year, because sometimes a good rookie season might have a bit of a drop off, but he has been so good. And so, yeah, seeing Minnesota in there for me is awesome. If you don't know my top three teams that are my favorites, I love the Canucks, I love the Panthers, and I love the Wild. And the Panthers were in a pretty easy division to predict in terms of who made the playoffs. Obviously, the order isn't quite right there in the Atlantic. So yeah, I mean the teams are right. The order's not quite, but that was an easy division to predict who would be in the playoffs. The other one though, having the Flyers in the playoffs, I kind of put them there just because they have that weird streak where they were in and then they were out and then they were in and they were out and they were in and they were out. I kind of misplaced it because like apparently that's the Giroux pattern and not the Flyers pattern necessarily. And I had Carolina outside the playoffs. Obviously New York outside the playoffs, but I don't think that was as bad of a call as having Carolina outside the playoffs. Um, so yeah, and then the Islanders. Like, who would have guessed the Islanders would be outside? So it's interesting to see my predictions. Some of them were good, some of them were bad, and that's kind of how it is. But anyways, because of this, I'm just going to quickly look at, based on these predictions, what I predicted originally for the playoffs, and then we'll get into the actual playoffs and my predictions for that. So this finals, as well as conference finals, they could still be the case. That's an interesting thing. I'm not sure if I'll go the exact same way with this though, but it's interesting. I'm not sure if I'll pick the Panthers again. I might. I really think though, I think that I'll probably be in between Tampa and the Panthers, and just seeing who comes out of that, I think would win over Colorado. But I could be wrong. Colorado is still an amazing team as they've shown, but just not as sure about them. And I think even Calgary could probably beat Colorado as well. Um, but yeah, interesting that my top four before the season could still happen. So I don't know if I'll predict it that way. Maybe I should, because maybe it'll happen. And it actually looks pretty decent. Like even the uh, Penguins going far may happen. I don't know. They haven't been super great as of late, but you know what? Like Playoffs is what matters, and we see lower seeds, go on long trips. Like, look at Montreal last year. Whew. I mean, even Dallas wasn't really that low of a seed, but even Dallas was kind of a surprise the year before. And so you kind of wonder who, if there is going to be one, who will be the Cinderella one? Is the best team in the West and the best team in the East actually going to meet in the finals? I'm not sure. So let's go to the predictions. All right, so now that we're on the bracket challenge, now that it's opened up after the Nashville Arizona game, here we are, gonna make some decisions, and even just thinking about that Nashville Arizona game, things are not looking good for Nashville. They're not, not even just because of that, but I'm just thinking if they don't have Saros, they are just they're gonna get swept, I think. And even if they do have Saros, if Saros comes back, he was out for injury, and so he's probably not going to be at 100%. It'll probably not be a full recovery time. They probably just want him in there, um, if he can play. So I'm not sure about that, but either way, Colorado is far away the better team. Normally, though, like Nashville, like Forsberg's had an amazing season, Duchesne's had an amazing season, Roman Yossi, of course. They have a good team, and I actually, if they were against the Flames and Saros was like, 100%, I actually would not put it past Nashville to take them out. Colorado, though, and Nashville not being at 100%, like, and I mean, there's some people at Colorado who might not be 100% as well, like Landeskog, but yeah, I got to give this to Colorado. Minnesota St. Louis is a much harder decision. Minnesota and St. Louis, both of them went on crazy streaks at the end of the season. They've been so good lately. They're very evenly matched. Already kind of rivals in a way. I know they've faced each other in the playoffs a few times, not too long ago, and so it'll be a great series. I'll probably keep my eye on that one more than most. I'm likely mostly going to watch Minnesota and Florida just because I like those teams a lot. But anyway, I'm hoping for Minnesota. Part of me wants to lean towards St. Louis. Like, they both got great goaltending. Not like Husso is not playoff experienced like Fleury is, although at the same time Fleury, sometimes has his mishaps in the playoffs, and so like when he was with the Golden Knights in their first year, he was amazing. Other times though, he's been really good and then not so much, so Husso, Fleury, their teams are very even. Their star power is just like Kaprizov is the big star of the series. I think when you look at it before the series, like who will be the big star, he's the main choice. That's not a goalie. St. Louis has great players like O'Reilly. Minnesota has. There's just so much. There's so much, and it's just like hard to balance. I think I might. I want Minnesota, but I think I might lean towards St. Louis. There's just so much there, and again with the playoffs, anything could happen. Like I've got to pick some underdogs here as well because there's probably going to be some underdog that's going to make it far, and so we'll see. Anyway, Dallas and Calgary. Calgary and Dallas, they have the history of not too long ago Dallas taking Calgary out after the qualifying round. So in that first round of 2020, the first real round, the first round outside the qualifying round, Calgary, I thought Calgary was going to win that. I always underestimate Dallas. I always underestimate Dallas. I always think Dallas is going to be the worst because I think that they have no scoring, which this year, of course, it's gotten better. Robertson and Hintz has been really, really good. He was last year as well, too, and so was Robertson. Pavelski had a great year. But I always just there's always just this sense that I get with Dallas that it's just like they can't score, or like what are they doing, or all this kind of stuff. But they seem to prove me wrong quite often, and I didn't even think they'd be a playoff team this year, and here they are. And so I mm, but Calgary has got Markstrom this time. They've got Tanev. They've got their offensive players are playing like at their best, and they have experience in the playoffs before. Not as much as Dallas does, maybe most of the Dallas players, but like I don't know. It looks Calgary just looks so good this year, and having Markstrom like solid, reliable goaltending there, having Tanev and some good defense, and then those top guys, Lindholm, and yeah, I like Calgary. I don't want to keep picking the top teams, but I gotta go Calgary on this one. Edmonton, LA. Edmonton looks really good as well. I think it depends on Mike Smith. I don't think Koskinen can do it. If it's Koskinen, um, a lot depends on McDavid. Obviously, he's probably grown a lot. And the thing is, if Edmonton does good, I think they'll do really good. I just remember that 2017 run they had, and they did really good. They almost well, you could almost say they should have beat the Ducks. I almost said they went on a conference finals run. They almost did. And then there was that, of course, controversial and really should not have been a goal. And Ryan Kessler, grabbing the pad of, I believe, Cam Talbot. I, as much as I'm not an Edmonton fan, they're probably my least favorite team. They are my least favorite team. Um, I was kind of, even I was like that. They should have, like, I was kind of hoping for them against the Ducks back then. But I'm hoping for the Kings. Do I think the Kings can beat them though? I know they don't have Doughty, and I know Doughty's not what he used to be, but Doughty is still, a big player, a big loss. Uh, can the Kings? Yeah, I actually it would be really fun to see the um, Battle of Alberta in round two. You know what? I do want to give Oilers the edge here. I will put the Oilers. Oh, now it gives me the games. Okay, well, I think Nashville's going to be out pretty quick, but I do think they'll have Saros, so I'll go 5 for them. Minnesota, St. Louis. I know it's the obvious choice, but I think it'll go 7 games. Calgary, Dallas. I'm gonna go 6 games for that, and Edmonton, LA. Ooh, I'll go 6 for that as well. Submit predictions. I hope that this doesn't submit everything, but okay, sweet. All right. Let's go to the Eastern Conference now. Florida, Washington. I gotta go Florida here. I do think Washington will put up a good fight, nevertheless. Toronto and Tampa. Now this is interesting because I think Boston could have passed Tampa today. They didn't, but they could have passed Tampa and played Toronto. I'd be more scared for Toronto then. Um, I think the fact that they're against Tampa, like, who really aren't an underdog. I think Tampa is really the favorite here, even though they have a lower seed. I think that maybe helps Toronto in just not in a you know not in, how do I say this? Maybe in a more psychological way. It might help Toronto like wake up a bit more, and like just not, you know, have their guard down, and not just take their foot off the gas and different things like that. Especially what we saw with Montreal, just they just kind of lost it mentally, basically, and let their foot off the gas. They got too overconfident, I guess, that they were going to win, and like, how could we lose to this? And then they ended up losing. It was just like, I don't think they have that problem against Tampa. I think they would against Boston. I think I think they're very blessed to have Tampa in a way, although Tampa is definitely the better team. Uh, but I think if Toronto is going to move past the first round, they would have a better chance against Tampa than they would against Boston. Um, Although maybe that sounds crazy, but I just think the mental game is so big with Toronto because they have a lot of talent there. Um, so yeah, but that being said, I do think Tampa still wins. I think Toronto does well against Tampa, better than they would against Boston. Oh, yeah, yeah. Do I hope that happens too? I don't know. I kind of don't want to go against Tampa as a Florida Panthers fan. Like I don't want to go against Tampa, but I think that's gonna be what happens. And I think honestly, I said it earlier too, that I think that Tampa and Florida, I think one of these two are the Cup winner. I think they're that good. But yeah, anyway, it's so interesting. It's interesting now that the matchups. I'm so excited for the playoffs. So excited. Carolina Boston, man, I'm saying I have to pick a lower seed, but this season it's just like, and I have picked some lower seeds, I guess, but they're lower seeds that are not necessarily underdogs. Like they're lower seeds that are like, well, for Tampa, they're probably the favorite to win. With St. Louis and Minnesota, I don't know. So do we pick Boston against Carolina? Like, I don't know. Boston doesn't scream that they're super amazing, but I think Carolina easily has a better chance. Uh, but then I haven't picked any wild cards. But that's okay. Maybe a wild card won't make it this year. I feel like this is so obvious. Like my choices are just like, of course. Rangers and Penguins. Oh, I think Rangers have a lot going for them. I mean, I want to see the Rangers win. Shesterkin has been unbelievable, and Jari's been good this year. He has. Are we gonna get playoff Jari from last year? I don't know. I don't know if we will. Obviously, I would take Shesterkin first. Um, and then the actual teams, yeah, I don't know. Like all of these are so close. I'm gonna go with the Rangers. This is kind of lame though. I'm not I'm not doing any upsets or anything. I'm gonna be wrong. I'm gonna be so wrong. I would say for Panthers and Caps, I'll go six for them. Leafs and Lightning, I'll go six. There's got to be a sweep though. Who would be a sweep? Mm, let's go Rangers. Let's say the Rangers sweep, and then let's say Carolina goes to 7 games against Boston. Random, but it's got to be random. Otherwise, I'm just going to be completely wrong. But I think I'm wrong already. Uh, oh, but what is right is the right thing. But I'll go with this. I think I'm overthinking it a little too much, but I'll go with this. I don't know about that Minnesota though. Man, this is a I feel like I'm having a tougher time. I think last year I just was like, yeah, let's just do whatever. Who knows what's gonna happen? I think I think I need to change it, and I need to put a wild card in there though. I think a wild card is gonna make an upset. I do, and but then I would pick Dallas. Ah, and I don't want to go against Florida because I do think Florida could mess it up big time. But I also think if Florida's playing at their best, like they're unbeatable except for Tampa. I really think that. I think Florida's so good. And I was right about Florida this year. I said that like they would either like have everything drop out from under them, they would blow it big time, or they'd be like first in their division. And they were first, so maybe I should keep going with Florida. Okay, I won't change it. I won't change it. But Boston, I just don't see Carolina blowing it against Boston. Maybe I will change it. Maybe I will change it. Yeah, I'll go Boston in seven. That'll be it. That'll be my big upset. Because I gotta have one. I can't do this without an upset. Like there's got to be an upset that happens. I don't want to be the person who just picks all the all the favorites, and I don't know if there's really a favorite between St. Louis and Minnesota, but I don't want to pick it anyway. So so I'll go Boston. Even though I'm not a big Boston fan, I'll go Boston. Boston Rangers, that'd be a nice series to see. Because I just don't think Dallas. I just don't think Dallas can take Calgary. I just don't. So I think, yeah, if there's a wild card that has the best chance of beating their team, well, Washington could, but I think Boston maybe has a better one. I'm not sure though. I was way too high on Boston, I think, before the season started, and they were good, but they're definitely not as good as I thought they would be. So they won't probably make it past the Rangers here. I don't think Boston's going on some kind of Cinderella run. And really, maybe Nashville, maybe Dallas, but if any other team makes it to the finals, I don't really think there is a Cinderella run in here, right? Like Washington, I don't know if that's really a Cinderella run. Boston, I don't think that is either. Like they're all like every team in the East was over 100 points. LA I could see as a Cinderella run, but anyway. All right, let's get on with things. Colorado, St. Louis. Honestly, you know what? Is Colorado going to make it? Like St. Louis has an unreal team, and I know there's weak points in St. Louis, and there's weak points with Colorado. Um, I don't know. That's a hard series. That's a hard series. Everyone's going to be like, that's not a hard series. Colorado's going to win the cup, guys. I don't know. They might. They might. And I know there's like a lot of times it takes a while for teams to break through, and this could be Colorado's year to really break through. But oh, I don't know. I like St. Louis. I do. Calgary, Edmonton. I do think though that Calgary will come out of that as the victor. I hope so, at least. Florida, Tampa. Well, we'll do this one first. I really think New York. I don't think Boston's going to take New York out. That would be interesting to see New York in the conference finals against someone that apparently they're going to lose to, because whoever I pick here is probably going to be who I pick for winning the cup, as I've been hinting at this whole time, or basically flat out saying. I don't think I'll pick Colorado. I think I'll pick St. Louis. I think Colorado. I'll say Colorado goes out, which would be really devastating again for Colorado. But St. Louis does seem like they're really good. They've been playing amazing, amazing hockey. Not that Colorado hasn't, but like St. Louis has been on such a run lately, and their team is just so solid. And like they've got a lot. I know they don't have Petrangelo, but they have a lot of the same guys, and some of them are stepping up in bigger ways. Like Robert Thomas has been crazy good this year, and Tarasenko is back. He wasn't a non-factor in their cup win, but he was not one of the main factors anyway. And so Tarasenko's doing good. Robert Thomas having a great season. Of course, they got O'Reilly. Like these guys, I like the Blues. I do like the Blues. Florida, Tampa. I think I just got to go with my heart on this and pick Florida. But again, if Tampa beats Florida, or maybe they'll beat Washington, but I think Tampa or Florida, I think it's between them for the cup. I do. I think they're just the two best teams, and obviously Tampa wanted to hold their horses a bit in the regular season, which I thought they would. But as we saw last year, Tampa being a lower seed does not mean Tampa is not going to be very. I think Tampa, honestly, I think the favorite to win the cup. I know Colorado might be some people's choice, maybe Florida as well, but I think Tampa really is the true favorite. But I'll still say that Florida beats them. I'll still say that, as you see that I have said. So Calgary, St. Louis. Let's go with. Well, here, I'll pick Florida here, because we know what's going to happen. I should just click Florida right away. But who's Florida going to be against? Who is Florida going to be against? Is there Matt? Ooh, let's see here. Gaudreau, Tarasenko. Gaudreau had such a season. A lot of the Flames did. Like Lindholm, 40 goals. Kachuk, 40 goals. I like Calgary a lot. I think Markstrom is amazing. Is it going to come down to goaltending? They're probably just going to both be stellar. It'll probably come down to like some random lucky bounce, honestly. Like it always seems to. Not always, but and lucky bounces, like you just never know how they're going to go, right? So I'll go with my heart again. I'll say another Canadian team ends up in the finals, and I'll go with Calgary. But I will say that they lose. Number of goals, 19. I've read the rules. But yeah, that's wow. That's gonna be my bracket, and we'll see what happens. I kind of had it in mind that I would choose Florida, but and they may be one of the more popular choices, but I I chose that before the season even started. Although I didn't go with what I said. I thought it would be Colorado against Florida, and it very well may be, but I don't think I just don't see the top teams in each conference ending up in the finals against each other. I just don't see that happening. I mean, technically, that's probably the most probable of seeds to end up together, but usually what's most probable doesn't happen when it comes to the NHL playoffs. So, yeah, I'll go with Florida. So, there is my bracket.